Going inside Memorial Sports, this is the Panther Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back in. It's Monday night, and we're in the high school fan zone, and it's session two, whatever, I don't know. We're in the Memorial Panther fan zone, as we are every Monday night, Estacado Memorial in Liberty. I'm joined by Jason Richards, the head coach of Memorial football. I'm going to let him introduce his two visitors with us.
Yeah, Randy, I'm real excited to introduce these two. We got our quarterback coach, Taylor Cain, and our quarterback, Trevor Lewis. These two have done a tremendous job. I've coached quarterbacks for about 22 years, and there's no other person I'd rather have leading one of our most important positions than Taylor Cain. And I think the progression of Trevor and the growth of Trevor, he's put a lot of work into it, and if you come watch us play, you can see it on display.
Trevor, you just heard him sing Coach Cain's praises. You want to follow up on that?
Yeah, I'm very grateful for Coach Cain. He's helped me a lot throughout this offseason and into the beginning of the season. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better since last season based on how I've been playing recently and during practice.
Which middle school did you come from, or were you at the freshman center?
I was at Heritage.
Okay, so
I was at freshman center last year.
Right down the street from me. That's half a mile from my house, so I should have come and watched you play that.
Yes, sir.
You worked with some quarterbacks at Monterey. That's where we first met. This is, Jason and I have talked about this. This is a whole different experience for coaches, taking young kids like this and getting them ready for the varsity level. What's it been like for you to work with Trevor, but also just to be part of the process?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, Trevor Lewis is a great kid, and, we've asked a lot of him. He's had to grow up in a hurry, and I don't know that a year ago he would have told you this is what was in his future, but man, he has jumped right in, and every week he takes something and grows from that. I think he's a very, very coachable kid, very, very smart kid, and it's fun to watch. I know all these experiences are going to be great for him.
All right, Jason, let's tear the bandage off real quick. Last week you played your first varsity team, went up to Littlefield. Great first half, 14-14, and Littlefield kind of found some rhythm. They won the game. We'll just stop there. They won the game by a few points. But for you guys, how much did you see from your guys that you kind of nodded your head on the way home and said, that's exactly what we wanted? Yeah,
and, we have a bunch of competitive – we got great coaches, man, and, they were upset. The kids were upset. But, unfortunately – a lot of growth doesn't happen through success, and I think it went well showing our kids that they can play with. I mean, that program's been around. I think Littlefield's 101 years old. They've won a lot of ball games. They've got it up there on a scoreboard the size of Littlefield itself, and they do a great job. Bo Bryant does a great job, and he probably told his boys, you're not going to lose to a JV team at halftime, and the third quarter couldn't have started any better. We picked them off on the first possession, got it down to the 21-yard line, couldn't punch it in. They muffed a punt, got it in the plus territory again, and I think what helped us in watching that film is just the margin for error when you get to that level, making our kids understand that everything matters. Everything matters. We got a punt blocked. Some people will say analytically that you got an 80% chance of losing the football game if you get a punt blocked. So, and sometimes we don't always take punt protection seriously, and I think we are now. So it was great. It was great for our development.
I bet that part of practice has been a little bit more locked in.
We worked it at 5:50 this morning.
There you go. Trevor, you on the punt team?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you got to watch other guys work hard. Not that you're not working hard. Looking at the numbers, 183 yards passing against the varsity team, which tells me he knew what he was doing. You didn't run the ball great, and that makes sense because as big as your guys are, and Taylor, I told Jason this when I came out the first time, I was like confused. I thought that was actually still friendship out there because you guys have some big dudes and blocking for you.
Sure.
But there's a difference between being 14 and 15 and a big guy and 16 and 17 and knowing some of the nuances and tricks and everything. Besides the numbers, though, his numbers obviously look pretty good. Running the ball, what did you learn about what did your guys learn about what they're going to have to be ready for next year?
I think it was not so much the first line, it was the getting to the second level. I think the second level was a lot quicker than what we're used to. You can rep your schemes all week and play a JV, and you can hit that linebacker at 4 yards deep, where in varsity football he's filling that hole at the line of scrimmage. I think that was the biggest factor. And then Littlefield, they run a very unique defense. I told our offensive coordinator, I faced it for 5 years. You got to face it to really understand it. And Coach Cain faced it at Idalou, and we had a great plan. But I think another thing is 12-minute quarters. We played 8 more minutes of football than we were used to, and 24-minute halftime. It was just all good learning experiences for our football team.
It was Mike Tyson's famous quote about everybody's a hero until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, that's right.
That's linebackers can do that to you. So, did you take a few different kind of hits than you'd absorbed in those first 3 weeks?
Yes, sir. I got popped a lot harder than I was really expecting. I did get down on one. I slid.
I bet these two guys next to you were pretty happy about that one.
Yes, sir.
That's part of it, too, I think I told you, Joe Sexton, the first time they took a team up the first year, went up there for a scrimmage, and his young guys, very similar experience. They realized that those older guys aren't going to be very nice to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a learning experience. Coach mentioned that you guys weren't happy about it, which you don't want to be happy about it. But as a player, what did you learn from playing them?
That next year it's going to be a lot harder than we really have experienced in the past, first 3 games of the season. We just got to finish the game, and we got to start faster than we did.
Coming up on a break, but I want to run through what Memorial's got coming up. Another varsity game, or varsity team you're playing this week, and this one's a little bit different. You guys got to get on a bus and ride for a few hours. So this is all the stuff we've talked about, you guys coaching and getting them ready for a varsity season. To me, this is a good step for you, because now they kind of understand, I've got to get up, be ready. There's different things that go into it. So coming up on a break, we'll talk more about that road trip, and I want to talk about some other Memorial athletics before we let this guy out of here. Come back to 100.7 Score after the break.
This is the Panther Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back into the Panther Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I mentioned that we juggled the lineup a little bit. This fall, Mondays are Estacado, Memorial, and Liberty. Tuesdays are Monterey and Coronado. Wednesdays are Lubbock High, Friendship, and Lubbock Cooper. 6 p.m. start time every night. Each school goes a half an hour. So if I'm not great at math, but you should be able to tell we're done at 7:30 on Monday and Wednesday. Tuesday we get out a little bit earlier in case there's some volleyball to go cover. So, but we're here for an hour and a half tonight. And speaking of volleyball and other sports at Memorial, Jason, I said this a second ago, for a brand new school, you guys are having a really good athletic year. You guys are doing what you're doing, kind of off the radar a little bit as a non-varsity team, but volleyball's 18-7, second place in their district, behind the number 1 team in the state, Liberty. Girls cross country just came out today, is ranked 9th in the state in 4A, and then team tennis is ranked. They were ranked 25th going into last week. They may have crept up a little bit. How proud are you of what these young people, and when I say young people with you guys, they really are young people, are doing so far, just getting acclimated to high school sports?
Yeah, I think, we talk about this all the time. Friendship school district's been around for 90 years, and the expectation of excellence is just part of the DNA of the school district. And I really, me and you've talked about this. I don't think nobody's buying into this. We're young stuff. Yep. We're going to go out and compete, and Whitney Gibson and Nick Cordes and Coach Justice have done a tremendous job with their programs, and they put in the time in the summer too. This didn't just happen, and they're doing a tremendous job, and I look forward to when we get to district time at the district tournament, and district cross country meets coming up pretty quick. So that'll be fun, and then volleyball, is kind of at the front end, but I'm excited about the future for volleyball.
They've got a match Tuesday night, and then Friday. We chatted about that earlier, that they play their second city rival or second city team, Estacado, at your place on Friday. I've not seen cross country or tennis, but watching your volleyball girls, it's been fun to watch early in the season you could see the talent, but there wasn't that experience of high level again. This is probably something your football guys are starting to learn. Watched them a few weeks later, the communication's better. They kind of flowed a little bit better, and Whitney said she said, I'm not going to claim all this as coaching because it's also girls just getting used to that level. Is that kind of what you want to see from your football guys here, especially with this stretch right now that you're going through?
Yeah, 100%. Like when you watch our volleyball team, they hate to lose more than they love to win.
Yes, they do.
There's no doubt about that, and we're still, we've grown a ton. And I think our boys are hungry for Friday. We're excited to get back on the field. Football is a practice sport, and that's a hard sell on young guys. Your practice is probably more important than your game, your preparation, and we're getting better at preparing. We're still not at the level we want to be, at the intensity we want to be all the time. And I think that was that showed in the Littlefield game. When we do what we're asked to do and coached to do, we're really good. And when we kind of revert back to our own ways, we're not very good. So Friday was a real positive for us. And I can't wait to get on the field again Friday night in Cisco, Texas.
Trevor, pick up that mic because I want you to follow up on that, what Coach said, because believe it or not, a long time ago, I was a teenage guy that played high school sports. And I remember those first couple of years, you go to practice and you go through the drills, but if you're not playing varsity, I don't know how locked in you really were. Have you kind of had to learn that pretty quick, that every second of every minute of practice is pretty meaningful?
Yes, sir. From the start of practice to the end, I feel like it's meaningful and it has a purpose, and these guys know what they're doing. So I put all my trust into them to help us go win and show us like what we're able to do throughout this season and the years coming.
What did you learn, especially from the second half the other night?
That we can't give up, like, given opportunities, and especially when we're that close to the end zone, we can't we just punch the ball and we can't have turnovers at that close. And our defense was doing good. We just couldn't get our offense moving.
Taylor, you may have been on the air. I asked you where else you'd coached. You've been at Monterey, you've been at Idalou, so you've seen both. And you grew up, went to Gymnet, so you've seen big school, small school. Memorial's kind of, right now, as it learns and grows, is this going to be a program that when you guys jump up to 5A as early as next year that is ready to go?
Yeah, I think that, like Coach Richards mentioned, that the opportunities that these guys, and even as coaches, I think we take for granted, every series is an opportunity that most sophomores don't get at the varsity level. Yep. And this is, every series, the up and downs of a varsity football game. And, you got to be able to take your punches. But I think we'll be able to look back in a year and say, man, like Coach said, this is a very positive experience for our kids, for our coaches. So
that brings us to the end of the second segment. We've got one more to go in the Panther Fan Zone. We'll be back after this break on 100.7 The Score.
Going inside Memorial Sports, this is the Panther Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Here we go in the final segment of the Panther Fan Zone on a Monday. I'll go ahead and say the score just once. The Panthers lost at Littlefield 42-14 in their first taste of varsity. But they get a couple more of those now. They go to Cisco this week. 3.5-hour trip.
We hit it right about 3, probably 3.5 in a bus.
Yeah, down there past Abilene. They get a little bit of experience that way, which I want to come back and talk about that a little bit more. Then they play West Plains JV here, and then Prosper Richland Friday night under the lights.
People's Bank
Stadium. That's going to be kind of cool, Trevor. Have you played on that field before at any point?
Yes, sir, I have. I played on it last year in a few games in middle school, and then our first game of the season was on that field.
You told me, has your band been at your home games and with all the dressing?
Yep.
But that's been like a 5 or 6 o'clock kickoff, right?
Yes, sir.
So this will be 7 p.m. It'll be in October. It'll be a little bit dark, hopefully a little cooler.
Yeah.
Not like today, 100-degree temperatures in late September. I'm looking forward to how that experience goes for you guys. Well, let's talk about this week since we're here now. What do you want how do you prepare your guys? We talked in between breaks. Physically, your guys have they're ready now. The mentality or the preparation of getting to school, getting on a bus, thinking about what you need to think about for 3 hours, playing a football game. How do you get young guys ready for that?
Friday night kind of reminded me of my golf game. When I make a birdie, I usually follow it up with a double bogey. So I think we got to be able to handle the success of the big moments too. These guys are pretty resilient. They handle adversity pretty good. Our response could always be better for the majority of the times that bad things happen. But I think we got to go out and play one play at a time. And if you win the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter, you usually win the game. So we got to put 4 quarters together or whatever it takes, and go bring it to the Cisco Lobos, who have a proud tradition as well. They'll get after it. So we got to be ready to play.
Trevor, you didn't have to take many bus trips at Heritage, did you?
No, sir.
Long bus trips, just got to show up and play. Taylor, you'll go back to your big school and small school background. That, as a high school kid, that is a little bit different. It's for Monterey. I'm trying to think back when you were there. Hutch, most of your games, I think the furthest road trip may have been over to Clovis a couple of times. But then you did go to El Paso for a playoff game, because I remember you guys don't have to go to El Paso anytime soon, right? You can avoid maybe the playoffs year one. We'll throw that out there for you. You're a little bit younger than Coach and I, so how do high school kids have to handle that aspect of it?
Yeah, outside of the 2-hour radius of Lubbock, a 3+ hour road trip is to a place like Cisco, where with a lot of tradition, those guys are, they're going to have a good year this year, and we get to be on their schedule. That's an awesome opportunity for us to grow. That's something that, you want to play November, December football, you got to be able to travel. And
that's what I was thinking, is it'll almost feel like you're first getting them ready for a playoff game. You're going to have to go. We're a little bit isolated out here, so you have to go for a distance in the playoffs. Now, Trevor, you know that there's going to be people there that don't like you.
Yes, sir.
They may call you names and stuff.
Yes, sir.
You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
There you go. That's your quarterback. You got to have. You can't have rabbit ears as a quarterback.
Yes, sir.
So, Jason, last thing. I know we're getting close to the end here. Where is this program at right now? If you woke up next Monday morning, where do you think this program is compared to where you think you'll be 4 weeks from now?
I think we're much improved from August 4th when we first started this. We still got a lot of room to grow, which is good. I don't know if you want to peak in week 4 or week 5. We need to have a great week of preparation for Cisco, and I think Cisco will tell us a lot again. How are we going to handle the results of last week and make some changes as a team and go on the road and play against a 2A powerhouse like Cisco. And, everything's a learning opportunity, and we want to kind of store that up and store it for the future. And, we talked about this morning, I don't want to feel the way I did Friday night, and I don't think the kids do either. And we had a pretty good Monday practice. We started at 5:50 a.m. this morning. So
you tried to get me to come out there. I wanted to come and talk to you.
Yeah, so we had a pretty good day today, and we need to have a better day tomorrow and Wednesday and clean it all up Thursday and get on the road and go see what happens.
And Trevor, the thing you learned most of all is to slide once in a while.
Yes, sir.
Are you a multi-sport guy?
Yes, sir. I play golf.
You play golf. There's not anybody coming after you golf. I mean, unless you make somebody really mad, they come after you with a club. It's a little bit different. Panthers are getting better, and Memorial's athletic year is going really well. We'll talk more about that the next time in the Panther Fan Zone. Coming up on a break. When we come back, we'll jump into the Patriot Fan Zone here on 100.7 The Score.